So assured, let me be assured about the country, my fellow citizens in this country. I like to speak true story based in our country. I'm not going to say anything that is out of my mind, but I like to you to listen and judge, learn from what comes out of me, and the wrong side that is happening out there in our country. The story is strictly for the students, the wise students who are in different schools of our country, all over the country, strictly we Africans. And this story comes out to students who are very wise, strictly students who are very wise. I wouldn't say that maybe students who are not wise are exempted. No, you are free to learn from this story of mine. Now, here, I'd like just to greet you and I beg you subscribe to my channel, YouTube channel, Brand Bonanza TV 213. And I promise once you subscribe to my channel, we shall be able to move together. We shall be able to connect together to the country. The story I'm about to tell you is about my life. Truth about my life. Right from the time of what I wanted to be and right now what I am. So listen carefully to this narrative story. It's going to be a narrative story, but yet a true story from the life we have gone through, from the life I've gone through, right away from where I am. And that's what happened to me one day, one time. It might also happen to someone else, might happen to you as a student out there while you're still in schools. Why have what has forced me to bring out this story is to try to bring out the truth in me, the the hidden meanings about our schools outside where I started from. Now, I'm not going to say out all, but I want to speak strictly or basing on what I wanted to be in my life. Here comes at a time I had three things in mind. Strictly, I knew how to repair radios. I think when I recall, I was at around 10 years, 8 years. And from here, this is where I request all the parents to think a lot about their students or about their children at, in the midst age of 8 to 9 and 10 years about the future of their children. Because I began thinking about what I should be and how should I go with it at the age of 9 and 10. Now, I like three things. I wanted to be a journalist, that is one. I wanted to be a lawyer, that is two. Then I wanted to be a mechanic, strictly basing in repairing simple things, radios. Now, I sat down. I think mechanics basing strict on the side of radio repairings, simple things, repairing simple things, where as a child I knew how to repair. And sometimes I could just dream that I've repaired this, and somebody can bring for me a simple radio. I repair the radio. And that is how. Then I sat down. I sat down, then I said, where will mechanics take me? I said, in mechanics, I think I had no future in it. So I sat down, I made some changes. In making the changes, here comes another view. Then I say, where am I well versed? Then I said, oh, I think I'm very well versed in, in the sector of journalism. Though journalist, I was supposed to take it as a talent, not professional, because my professionalism, I want to professionalize myself into law. Then by the time I started my school. I halfway in my primary, halfway in the village, and then full time primary studies in the town here in Kampala. That's how my journey begins. By the at around in the classes of P3, P6, around there, I went on my journey. I used to write stories, and those ones who listen to the story, who are listening to this story right now, they can tell you I used to write. Though I remember my stories that I wrote, some some books of mine that I used to write in my stories were taken by some friends of mine at school during that time. Though I recall one book that was kept by my uncle. Yeah, I think the book is still taken. Is still kept right now in my primary. I used to write stories. I was the best writer. I don't know whether I was the best writer or I don't. So my journey begins like that. How to read, how to write was right from school, but my added knowledge was through newspapers. I used to go to get myself with reading newspapers. Why did I get this journey of being a journalist by talent and being a lawyer? I grew up listening to radio, and my best radio ever when I was young. I used to listen to BBC. I used to listen to BBC. That's where I picked interest. How do those people speak? And I came out to say, let me also, when I grow up, I want to read the news. And that's how I picked the story from right when I was still young. I grew up, I reached primary 7. When I clocked to primary 7, I still had that stage fright and the confidence. I lacked confidence to stand into my people, to speak to them, to read to them news. So I just had that time to read the news with my fellow students within the classes, within the classrooms. But I felt like one time, I should read the news on the assembles with the fellow students, but I had that fear in primary. And what people who are listening to this story can tell you the truth because I used to read to them the news and they used to like me. I was a celebrity within that circle of my classmates in those times. I think when I recall the year was 2000, around 2000, 2009, 2010, around there, 2010. So I didn't get any force, any opposition from that time because maybe I wasn't yet popular enough. So when I decided to join, I completed my primary safely, and I appreciate our government for doing so. Now, during those times, I used to make, I wanted myself to be a true journalists because we believe that journalists tell the truth. They tell what they have seen with their eyes, and sometimes when they are being told, but at least you have to see and you tell a story. You see it, then you write it, then you report it. That is what I want. That's what I expected from the journalist side. But where should I? Where do I face the forces, the strong forces? I face strong forces when I join my secondary classes. That's where I face a force, a strong force. When I completed my primary, I joined secondary. On joining secondary, why should I? Why didn't I make it? Why don't I feel it that maybe I should start my journey from primary? No, I said no. I should start my journey from secondary. When I joined secondary, I faced another life, rather simple life, difficult life. I joined my secondary in a certain school in Gayaza town. So that's where my journey for secondary begins from. As we moved up, we went with the journey up. So in the midst of third term, second term, we carried out elections. When we carried out elections, I was elected councillor, but yet my dream was being information prefect. But what hinders him from that position is that I was still in a lower class compared to the upper classes, and the post for information was supposed to be for the upper classes, not lower classes. So I had nowhere to go. Rather than concentrating myself on the post of counselor, and I was overall the overall counselor. In that position, we are four, like 4 to 3. I remember having Najima Sophia, then having Mugisha Grace. Yeah, I attained the position of overall because I was the only boy, and during my swearing in, the way I presented myself, that's where my journey begins. During that time, my interest was strictly, as I told you, journalism by talent. I don't know. Some people might judge me out there, may ask me, and I say, yes, by talent. That's what I can say. So I concentrated less on counselorship, so I had to concentrate more on journalist side. But little did I know that that race for journalism, mostly when you're a true journalist in your life, a true journalist who stands for the truth, who reports the truth, is always hated by others, by the side. I didn't bother much because I was doing my best. As a young child, I was doing my best in life, and I was exercising my duty that I after school. Then there is tough life outside here. My first writing, because now before I joining Writers Club, I didn't join as faster the Writers Club. I went slowly, but time went on. Towards the end of my counselorship, which I finished well, so we had to hand over. Why did I leave the counselorship? Because I was hated, totally hated, because of the way I took myself, the way I led others. Then I said, what to hell, I should leave this. So I left counselorship to others. So when we went on up to senior two, closest to, I had to join a Writers Club. And in the Writers Club, I had to be given a position. I first began as active member. Then after beginning as an active member, from that position, had to grow up. I was raised to position for president, Writers Club, but because of the stage class, so I had to be given the position of vice president, Writers Club. In that position of Writers Club, we do many things. We do writings, we do art, we do creativities, whatsoever. But me, I concentrated myself on writings. So I used to write the news, I used to read the news, I used to do whatsoever. Assisted by my fellow friends, those who are beyond me, I used to listen to them carefully. So I had to follow the move. I followed the story. I followed everything. But my first news, as I tell you, that being a true journalist in life is so hard. We are faced with a lot of challenges as the true reporters of the country. So my first writing, I wrote about poor feeding. I remember that when I recall that time, we are fed on half-cooked beans, half-mingled portion, and people were people complained out. So me, as a journalist, I had to come out. As a writer, I had to come out and I write. Then after writing, then I have to read it to my subordinates. Me, I gave respect to each and everybody. I used to take the staff or the administration as the government, as our lead government. So I used to take the students as the people. So I used to take myself as the arm, the eye, beyond, and the spokesperson. So, like, I could write, then I present myself, I present it to the admin, and then after writing that news, that piece of the news, I was called in the staff. Now, the staff that I could call the government, I was called to answer. So they asked me, why did you write this? Why did you write? Say, I wrote it because I saw that it was bad. It was bad, and I had to write. So we have to act. We have to change. So that was my first news. Then we we went on. We went on. I wrote another piece of a set of news. Then I read it. And reading that set of the news, still there was an incident whereby a teacher badly caned a student, a female student in our classroom, our classmate. So it pained me a lot, and it pained also other students. The way the student was punished because of just a mere thing. Then we all angst, and we asked, what's wrong? Why shouldn't that thing happen like that? So I was forced to write that piece of newspaper of that piece, and I read it. When you recall that time when Ingrid Trunawe, yes, Ingrid Trunawe, that lady, the way the woman was humiliated, that's the way the student, our classmate, was humiliated. I wrote the story. When I wrote the story, I was also called to the administration, that is the staff, or we call the government. So I was called to be answerable. I also saw the way you conducted yourself was bad. To the students, at both to me, and also as an opener, eye opener to the others, to the society, I have to write. So I was answerable, but I went to answer such kind of things. I went. So confidentiality, I'm trying to gain confidence in myself, and to trying to defend that what is right, what is wrong, I should call it wrong, and what is right, I should call it right. So I went in that kind of life. Then the worst came to the worst when there are some scenarios that used to happen at school, that students, that whenever students could come out to say, they could be called wrong people or wrongdoers. But we, the eye openers, I was not on the either side of the students, neither could I be on the side for administration, but I could be open and neutral. And there are some incidents whereby students went hard and harsh on teachers or on administration. But I could stand and say, please, students and teachers, we should always conduct ourselves well, and the same happens to the students. That's how I used to write my stories. And me, I believed that my stories were true. I believe my stories were true according to me, because whatever they could answer me, they could call me, I was answerable as a response for whatever could happen to me. I was strong like that. So that's how I came to write my stories out for the people. From there, they liked me, but from that kind of criticism, here comes the fruits of the school. The moment they could hear this and this, there is this complaint, they just know there is a journalist over there who is writing, who is observing what is happening in the country. And that's why I also move the way NTV moves. I also move the way Del Monte moves, because I believe that once you come naked, I bring you out when you're